Behind me are the protesters from the Baluchi community who are protesting opposite the Chinese embassy here in Portland Place in central London with regards to CPAC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And this time they're holding a vigil for 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, to get the message across to say China must remove themselves from this CPAC deal with Pakistan. With me now is Khan Suleiman, who's an ex-ruler from Baluchistan. So how long have you been out of Baluchistan, sir?
I am out of Baluchistan since 2006 December, but I came to the UK in June 2007.
And so you're here protesting today, but this time you're holding a 7-day vigil. So what's been the impact so far?
Basically, I'm here since 2007, and we've been going around to all the parliaments in Europe and also to the Congress in the United States. And we were successful in having a hearing in the first time in the history of the United States Congress in February 2012. And the congressman there basically chaired the meeting, and it was for freedom from Pakistan, basically.
So when you say you're a ruler from Baluchistan, in what capacity? An ex-king?
Yes, because Pakistan forcibly occupied us in 1948. And that is, since then, this is the fifth uprising of the Baluch people since then. And we are, since 2002, when this uprising started, basically, after the death of Nawab Akbar Bukti, I called a tribal elders meeting after 136 years. So all the Baloch from Punjab, Sindh and Balochistan attended, including their clansmen and notables. and the political party, their representatives, and student wings. And in that jirga, the tribal elders meeting, it was decided that I should take the case of Balochistan, the force of occupation, to the international court. And that's what I'm doing since then, basically taking Baloch voice to every parliament in Europe and West, and whoever can hear us.
And what has the impact been so far with your pleas?
As far as the impact has been that we have had support in all the parliaments. But since your Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi's speech of the Independence Day and a day before, that has created quite a bit of impact because it's an independent nation. And with that, I think the support of Bangladesh and their information minister, including the ex-president of Afghanistan, Mr. Hamid Karzai, and of course all the members of parliament of the European Union and other countries that have supported us, and especially the congressmen and women of the United States. So I think we are moving in the right direction.
Now, just last week, India made surgical strikes over the terrorist camps in Pakistan. So, what has been the reaction to that?
As far as we are concerned, since 2007, we are saying that the country, Pakistan, or the establishment is a terrorist establishment and like terrorists in uniform. And the world didn't listen to us, but since the situation of Afghanistan, in which I think every day NATO soldiers were killed over there, and they knew from where these terrorists are coming or who are harboring them and who is equipping and training and sheltering them. And today, I think the whole world knows that Pakistan and its establishment are doing basically terrorism, and the whole Western world used to fund them for terrorism. So, in other words, they were funding the terrorists in uniforms, basically.
And there was also a strategical strike from Iran into Pakistan territory, but onto Baluchistan. So, what is your impression of that, and what has been the impact on Baluchistan?
Basically, as far as terrorism is concerned, I think as far as Pakistan is concerned, it is involved in all its neighbors, and they are backing the terrorists. Basically, the terrorist name or the organization name is just a shield. Behind it is all the forces of Pakistan. This should be known to everyone, and they are using a very few in the name of Taliban or Jaish-e-Mohammed or Lashkar-e-Jhangvi and so on, Jamaat-ud-Dawa, but actually it's the state machinery that's behind it.
Since the surgical attacks, have the Baluchi people been more harassed? Has there been an increase in the killings in Baluchistan, in Sindh?
As far as, I don't know about Sindh, but as far as Balochistan is concerned, we've been killed since 1948, so it's nothing new for us. And they can keep us killing, but we will get what we want.
The European Parliament has also said that, given us a strong warning to Pakistan, and said that they should, discontinue killings of Baluchi people. The European Parliament has taken a decision. What's your view on that?
We welcome the European Parliament's decision, including your Prime Minister and your Foreign Affairs Minister who took up the case in the United Nations. And we thank them through you and whoever who's basically talking about the Baloch and the genocide that is being taken place on the ground in Balochistan by the establishment of that country. And I think it's a high time that now they should be it should be outlined that they are a terrorist state, basically.
And you've been holding this vigil here for 7 days. What has the impact been from the Chinese embassy? What has been the reaction?
As far as China is concerned, we don't have any problem with the Chinese, but the problem that it is coming through the occupier in Balochistan. You understand, it's a big country, it's a power, but what it's doing is it's coming through the occupier. And the reason we held this protest over here, just to let China know that kindly keep off Balochistan. You are not welcome over there.
And what has been the reaction from the public going past here on the streets?
Everybody was a bit, as far as I am concerned, I was watching them. They were a bit like giving a bit of support because it was against China, and they were even the passers-by in cars and on the street. They were looking at what was the protest for, and they were like they are giving us applause, and there are many who like welcomed it.
And what happens after this? Because this is presumably going to end tomorrow. Tomorrow is the seventh day.
Basically, it's not end of the world, but if it ends also, this is going to continue everywhere in the world, and it's continuing since 2007, and it will continue till we get our freedom, basically.
And how hopeful are you that you're going to get that freedom now that Narendra Modi, Sushma Swaraj has mentioned you in the UNGA, and it's become a global issue now?
Yeah, basically, we will get our independence from within. You understand? And whatever and whoever is supporting us, whether it's your government, your people in parliament, your prime minister, your foreign minister, defense, or the Bangladeshi government, or the Afghan government, or the United States congressmen and women and the members of European Parliament. So it's a light of hope for the Baloch, and I think we will see more progress in the coming days and months to come, I think.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mehrab, you've had this vigil here for 7 days. What are you looking for this time?
Well, we wanted to bring the awareness to Chinese. They are not welcome in the Baluchistan. Baluchistan is occupied land, and they shouldn't invest in Baluchistan.
And have you sent a petition to the Chinese embassy?
We will hand the petition today by when we're ending this campaign. And then probably the message is clear to Chinese. They should understand that. Baluchistan is not Pakistan. Baluchistan do not welcome the Chinese people as well as the Chinese government.
What is it that worries you most about CPAC?
Well, the CPAC is for us, it is not, it's deprived the Baluch from their land, and then bring a lot of Punjabis into Baluchistan and turn the Baluch into the minorities. And for the world to understand the CPAC is not the economical corridor. CPAC is a military corridor, military outpost, a Chinese military outpost. They're trying to encircle India, and then they have a problem in South China Sea. So therefore, Pakistani may be an economic corridor for Pakistanis, because the Pakistanis are so desperate. Nobody willing to invest in Pakistan. Pakistan is a terrorist state. So therefore, people do not want to invest in Pakistan. The Chinese investment in Pakistan is a lifeline for Pakistan to survive for another couple of weeks longer.
So this is going to be of great economic benefit to Pakistan, but it's going to close off that trade route for the rest of the countries in that region with CPAC in the Gwadar port.
Well, I mean, if I understand your question, the CPAC, we should stop referring to it as an economical corridor. It is a Chinese military strategy, and if the Chinese want to do a business with the Central Asia and then Arabic Sea, they already established a trade route through Afghanistan. I mean, it's coming through the three countries. That is a perfect economic corridor, and I don't think anyone have an objection with that. People have, I mean, the world have objection with the China, and the Baluch have grievances against the Pakistan. Balochistan, as I said, is occupied land, and Baluch want to free Balochistan for the Baluch only.
So you want an independent Baluchistan. And how do you think you're going to get it? Through such demonstrations, as long as it takes?
Well, this is a one way, and the Baluch, is struggling for all the way through to get their independence by all means. It is one way, which is demonstration thing on the street of London and Washington, D.C., New York, and other capital. Baluch has been campaigning very everywhere.
And where do you think the pressure should come from? From Washington, from Europe, EU countries, and that will have an impact on this?
Well, I believe that pressure eventually will come from the world, but as India, as a leading, should lead that, and then India as a big economical power and the largest democracy in the world. I mean, eventually we can see the pressure. As I was reading today's newspaper, Chinese getting frustrated, and they said that we're going to stop the water flow to India. That is a frustration from the Chinese. And what's the Indian doing? They're creating very good pressure. Well done. Carry on. Together we will get free the world from the terrorism.
How long have you been an activist, freedom fighter with regards to independence Baluchistan?
We are struggling in Balochistan against Pakistan since 1948. And because our homeland Balochistan was forcefully occupied by the state of Pakistan. So from that day up to now, we are on a struggle of Balochistan.
And how long have you been protesting in the UK?
This protest, we started this protest 7 days ago. We are here for 7 days. 2 days the last day. We are protesting here against China because China, in collaboration with Pakistan, is looting and our resources, and China is fully supporting Pakistan. And now there is a news, and you might have known that China is stationed its own army in Gwadar, and their Chinese and Pakistani army both are putting their arms and others to kill the Baluch, to maim the people, and that's on this regard there has been 20,000 people have been disappeared, and since 2009. 5,000 Baluch have been killed and during the torture cell. So their mutilated body were thrown in jungles and others area. So these are crimes committed by Pakistan against Baluch. So we have come here to highlight these issues. So we ask the international community, the civilized world, to open their eyes and support the Baluch movement to stop this genocide, which is being committed by Pakistan against the Baluch people.
And do you live in the UK?
I am living in the UK.
For how long?
For 5 years I have been.
And you have family back in Baluchistan?
No, because we have our main family in Balochistan, some are here in UK, so all the Baluchs are there suffering in Balochistan.
Why are you supporting the Baluchi cause, sir?
I support all causes, our group supports all causes that are looking for self-determination. That could range from just acknowledgement of their existence, through autonomy, independence, whatever the people particularly want. Some want independence, some just want recognition for their language in schools and, for jobs. So we support all peoples to give them a voice. Diasporas, largely, who live mainly in the UK, that have those causes that need that support. So we're here today to show solidarity with the Baloch people, who are obviously concerned of what's happening in Pakistan largely, but Iran as well, because it straddles obviously both borders. So clearly there's an issue there. They feel that they're not acknowledged. They feel that their language rights are ignored, their culture is ignored, they don't have any national rights at all, and they're seen as a threat to the state. So rather than accommodating them, they oppress them. So the worry in Baluchistan also is the despoliation of the land and also exploitation of the natural resources that Baluchistan has.
So how many deaths have been registered with regards to people in Baluchistan? Over 21,000 at least, I believe?
Well, yes, but of course the problem is it's almost impossible to prove one way or another, because if people disappear, if there's no registration, if nobody's admitting to it, they just disappear, and the authorities naturally say there's nothing going on. We believe that there are things going on. There have, of course, been videos shown of military action. And at the end of the day, ultimately, we believe that there should be referendums around the world to actually give people a voice. That referendum may say, no, we're happy, and there is no problem.
Narendra Modi has taken a strong stand, and so has Sushma Swaraj at the UNGA meetings. Until then, there was very little mention with regards to Baluchistan, and this has made it kind of global. And now the EU has taken a stern decision to warn Pakistan against any strikes on the people of Baluchistan.
Yes, it's very interesting. If you look at India first, obviously that's welcome. Obviously, India, Pakistan is seen as a rival. You know, you've got obviously problems between the two countries. It's erupting again over Kashmir. So obviously, we expect from time to time each country trying to, find fault in the other. But obviously, it's still welcome because they're still revealing problems. As far as the West is concerned, Pakistan has had a Cinderella position with the West ever since the West went into Afghanistan, because they used it as a supply route to supply the Western forces. So they needed stability in Pakistan. So ultimately, Pakistan was let off all its crimes. Anything that it was doing within its own borders was just totally blanked out in the media on behest of the West, because they wanted to keep Pakistan on the side. They've thrown lots of money to Pakistan. They wanted Pakistan to hold down the Taliban or not get too involved. They're always involved with them. But of course now the West doesn't need Afghanistan, so I think that we're going to start seeing Pakistan's misdemeanors, its crimes in its own country start to come out through the work of India and through the work of the West, who no longer need Pakistan as much as they did before.
And a vigil like this, which has been going on for 7 days, for 24 hours, what sort of impact do you think it will have, or it has had so far?
Well, obviously it's going to be limited because, we don't have many people walking the area. So it really relies upon the media. Social media, of course, is a great leveller.
The war has already started on the social media.
Indeed. So social media, without you guys, then really these causes just almost invisible. But because of social media and hopefully the interest of people like yourselves, or mainstream media, that word gets out. I say from Nations Without States, we campaign and we also give a voice to people who feel that they're oppressed. And we find that social media and the media is the lifeblood, because without it, nobody gets to know. But if they do get to know, where you find that most British people, or most people that live in the UK, will support those causes, because they say, well, in Britain we've got freedoms, a lot of freedoms. In Britain, we allowed Scotland to have a vote, a referendum on their self-determination. We don't routinely torture and put people in detention or abduct people. So we have an independence. We just had a referendum on Brexit, whether we wanted more or less integration with the EU. That was an aspect of self-determination. So, we, the British people, I feel, are very sympathetic to causes like this.
Do you think the world is listening to the issue of Baluchistan and other parts of Pakistan, where they're all asking for freedom?
They weren't before, but they're beginning to now, because the reasons for hiding it have disappeared.
And there's a boycott of SAARC meeting from India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and various other countries. Do you think that will have a greater impact as well?
It will all have an impact. Anything that gets profile for a cause is always good. What people do with it is a stage two. But at the moment, the Baluch, because of the suppression of the media when the West was in Afghanistan, because that's starting to remove now, the media now can perhaps report it with less oppression on what they do. So I think it will start to become more and more important. I think the world will rally to what Modi has done. It will rally to what the rest of Asia will do. it will rally to hope for the West turning against Pakistan too. So hopefully one day the Baloch people and other minorities will get a chance to voice themselves in Pakistan without being killed.
But CPAC, they're demonstrating outside the Chinese embassy. It doesn't look like China is listening because they've just cut off the Brahmaputra river on the border with India.
It is a problem with China because obviously China is a superpower and China obviously feels that they don't need to listen to anybody. But we must do what we must do. We must put pressure on China because China invests around the world now. It's not just an insular country anymore. It invests around the world, and those investments are vulnerable if in fact things go wrong for them, if diplomatically or economically or financially. So China's more vulnerable than it used to be. Trust me, pressure can be brought to bear on China.